Welcome back to the show. It is so great to have you with us again. We are jumping right back into it with this month's topic. And I have to say, I spent some time with the material for March this morning. And, well, usually when we look at history or ancient texts, there's a kind of comfortable distance, you know?
A safe distance. It feels academic, like we can keep it at arm's length.
Exactly.
Hmm.
But this narrative we are tackling today, this doesn't feel safe at all. It feels, I don't know, personal, almost like it's trying to mess with us.
That is a very good way to put it. This passage doesn't just want to inform you, it wants to dismantle you. We're looking at John chapter 13, verses 1 through 17. And honestly, if you really let this text do its work on you, you can't walk away with your ego intact.
No, you can't. It just puts this massive question mark over how we usually operate. I mean, think about how the world defines greatness. If I asked you to picture a powerful person, what image pops into your head?
Oh, it's usually the person at the head of the table.
Right. The corner office, the entourage, the person who speaks while everyone else is taking notes.
Yeah.
Power is measured by how many people are running around serving you.
Precisely. That's the human default, isn't it? We measure greatness by status. But this month's topic, it just takes that definition, crumbles it up, and throws it out the window. It flips the whole pyramid upside down.
It's the paradox of the humble king. And I think that's our goal for this conversation. We're not just, analyzing a scene. We're trying to uncover the mechanics of true spiritual power.
And spoiler alert, real power looks a lot less like a throne and a lot more like a towel.
That's the image right there. So let's go into that room, set the scene for us, because the atmosphere here is heavy. This is not a party.
Incredibly heavy. This is the upper room. It's the final week. And the text is really specific that Jesus knew his time had come. He knew the clock had run out.
Yeah, the notes really highlight his awareness. He knew he was about to suffer, he knew he was about to die, and he knew he was going to rise again. But in that moment, the shadow of the cross is just looming over everything.
Right. So you've got this pressure cooker environment, and then you have the disciples who, the other Gospels tell us were probably arguing about who is the greatest.
Of course. Jockeying for position in the new administration.
Exactly. And in the middle of all this tension with the weight of the world on his shoulders, Jesus does something that would have just sucked all the air out of the room. He stands up, he takes off his outer garments.
Which is a huge deal in itself. He's stripping away the symbols of his authority. And he wraps a towel around his waist.
And then he starts washing their feet. And we really have to pause here because I think we read this and think, oh, a foot washing ceremony. How nice.
Very liturgical.
Yeah.
We picture some warm water, maybe some nice oils. It sounds kind of relaxing.
No. You have to picture first century Judea. They wore open sandals on roads made of dirt and dust shared with animals.
So we're talking about feet caked in mud, dust, and everything else.
Exactly. It was disgusting. And because it was so gross, foot washing was the lowest of the low. It was a status marker. This was a task for the lowest servant in the house, usually a non-Jewish slave.
I remember reading that a Jewish disciple wasn't even required to wash his teacher's feet. It was considered too demeaning.
It was beneath their dignity. And yet here is the Lord of all, on his knees, scrubbing grime off their toes.
A radical dismantling of hierarchy. This wasn't just him being nice. It was him destroying the whole idea that status exempts you from service.
He's showing them that in his kingdom, the higher you are, the lower you go. But there's a detail in this that the study points to, and every time I think about it, it just gives me chills.
I think I know where you're going. It's about who was in that circle.
Yes, Judas.
Judas was there. We tend to just gloss over that, but he was there. And Jesus knew. He knew Judas had already made the deal.
Yeah, let's just sit with the weight of that. Imagine being in a room with someone who you know for a fact is about to betray you to your death.
I mean, I couldn't even look at them. My instinct would be to expose them.
Hey, everyone, look what this guy's doing.
Exactly. Self-preservation kicks in.
Ah.
But Jesus, he kneels. He takes Judas's filthy feet into his hands, and he washes them with the same water, the same towel, the same tenderness that he used for John.
That is not human. It just breaks all the categories. Human nature is, I'll serve my allies, I'll serve the people who are good to me, but serving the betrayer, it feels wrong, it feels dangerous.
It does. To our flesh, it feels like letting the bad guy win.
Yeah.
But this defines the kind of love we're talking about. It's supernatural. It's not transactional. He wasn't doing it hoping Judas would change his mind.
He knew he wouldn't.
He knew. He did it simply because that is his nature. And that's where the challenge gets really personal for us, Are we willing to serve the people who annoy us? The people who undermine us?
Oof. That's a hard, yes. Serving a friend is easy. Serving an enemy? That requires a power I just don't naturally have. None of us do. That's why this is a spiritual issue. And speaking of resistance, that brings us to Peter. Because the silence in the room is deafening until Jesus gets to him.
Classic Peter. He just can't handle it. You can hear the panic in his voice. Lord, are you going to wash my feet? And then, you will never wash my feet.
It's so emphatic. He's drawing a hard line.
To be fair, I kind of get it. It feels disrespectful, right?
Yeah.
You don't let the king clean up your mess. He thinks he's honoring Jesus by refusing.
He absolutely does. But the study points out that this is actually a kind of false humility.
How so?
Because it's really pride. He's basically telling Jesus, I know better than you what's appropriate right now. He's refusing to receive what the master wants to give. And Jesus' response just completely pivots the entire conversation.
Right. He says, unless I wash you, you have no part with me.
No part with me. That's a devastating phrase. It means no share, no connection, no inheritance.
It escalated so fast. 1 minute it's about hygiene, the next it's about being cut off from him completely.
And this is the aha moment. This is where the physical reveals the spiritual. Jesus isn't talking about dirt on his feet anymore. He's talking about the condition of the heart.
So, unless I wash you means we have to let him deal with our sin.
Exactly. Peter thought he was protecting Jesus' dignity. But Jesus was teaching him that you can't serve God until you first allowed God to serve you. You can't come to the table with your resume and your list of good deeds.
That is so hard for capable people to swallow. We want to bring something. We want to say, look what I did for you.
But Jesus says, no, stop, put that away. Sit down and let me wash you first. Let me make you new. You can't effectively minister to others until you've received ministry from him.
You can't pour from an empty cup.
Or, to use the image here, you can't clean anyone else if your own hands are dirty. We have to be open to being washed, and that takes real vulnerability. It means admitting, Lord, I'm not who everyone thinks I am. I need you to clean me.
Total surrender.
Only after that can we pick up the towel for others.
And once that lesson lands, Jesus puts his robe back on, returns to the head of the table, and asks that question that still echoes today. Do you understand what I have done for you?
And if we're honest, most of the time the answer is, not really. But he spells it out. He says, if I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet.
It's a mandate, not a suggestion. I love the phrase the study uses, laying down pride and picking up a servant's towel.
Yes. You can't hold both at the same time. You have to drop the pride to have your hands free to serve.
And tying this into Lent, which is the season we're in, it just clicks. This act is a prelude to the ultimate sacrifice on the cross. It's the same spirit of total surrender.
It is.
But man, is it practically difficult. And that's where I want to go now. It's easy to sit here and talk about humility, but then we walk out the door.
And reality hits.
Right. Someone cuts you off in traffic. A coworker takes credit for your idea. The sink is full of dishes that aren't yours.
And that's where the theology has to hit the pavement.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we apply this? What does washing feet look like in 2026?
Yeah, I'm assuming we're not supposed to take people's shoes off at work. That would be weird.
Please don't. HR would have a field day. No, the principle is about the posture of your heart. And the study gives some really tangible examples. One of the biggest is just listening.
Serving with your ears.
Yes. Think about how rare it is to be truly listened to, not half listened to while someone checks their phone, but actually giving someone your full, undivided attention. That is washing their feet. You're saying, you matter more than my schedule right now.
That's good. What else?
Offering help without being asked. You know, we all say, let me know if you need anything.
Which is code for, please don't ask.
Exactly. A servant's heart looks for the need. It sees the overwhelmed colleague or the struggling neighbor and just steps in. But then there's another challenge in there that makes it even harder.
Serving in secret.
Expecting nothing in return. That's the killer of pride right there. Because we love to serve when the camera's rolling, you know? We want the credit.
We want the validation.
But Jesus calls us to the invisible work. Can you clean the break room when no one is watching? Can you help someone succeed who will never be able to pay you back? That's the test.
Ouch. Yeah, that's a good sting, though. It makes you ask, what tasks do I avoid because I feel they're beneath me?
That is a revealing question. Whatever that thing is that makes you say, I shouldn't have to do this, that is exactly where your towel is waiting for you.
It's finding the lowly places.
It is. But we have to be careful. This can't become just a self-improvement project. If we leave here thinking, okay, I'm going to try really hard to be humble, we'll fail by lunch.
Right, we'll just end up resentful and bitter.
Exactly. We become martyrs, not servants. The transformation has to come from the Spirit. We have to go back to that first point. Lord, wash me. We need a fresh touch from God to be able to love the Judases in our lives.
It really does. So let's wrap this up with a clear charge. We've seen the humble king. We've seen his shocking love. We've seen the command.
The summary is simple. True greatness is found in how many people you serve, not how many people serve you.
So here's the challenge for you listening. This week, look for the towels. Look for those opportunities to serve that everyone else is stepping over.
And look for the lowly places. Try to do one act of service this week that absolutely no one but God knows about.
And let your actions reflect his love. Ask God for the supernatural strength to show kindness that isn't deserved, just like he showed us.
And remember, it all starts at the source.
Which leads us to our final thought, a question from this month's topic that I want you to carry with you today.
The question is this: is your heart open to being washed so you can serve with joy?
Let that sit with you. Thanks for joining us for this conversation. We hope it challenges you and maybe changes the way you look at a towel.
Indeed. Go and serve.
We'll see you next time.